It is a solemn reality that there is a trial the soul endures in utter quiet. This ordeal sits beyond the reach of therapists, beyond the counsel of self-help pages, beyond even the comprehension of those who love you most. You may have spent years believing you were merely getting through hard seasons, not realizing you were undergoing the most exacting examination a human consciousness can ever meet. Across decades of work, I have studied these unseen initiations that remake certain souls entirely. I have found that some pass through what I call the process of individuation by crossing a doorway of profound suffering. A suffering that leaves no visible scars, yet transforms everything within. The markers of this transformation are not obvious. They show themselves in the subtlest ways, recognizable only to those who have walked this same path. Perhaps you have already passed this test without naming it. Perhaps the evidence is written in your field, in the way you move through life, in the quality of your presence that others feel but cannot define. The 7 signs we'll explore are not trophies to display with fanfare, but quiet recognitions, a deep inner knowing that one's consciousness has been forever altered by its encounter with its deepest truth. I have come to see that certain souls experience what can be called a second psychological birth within a single lifetime. This birth does not declare itself loudly. It arrives in the spaces between words, in the hush after storms. In the instant you discover that the person you thought you were fighting to become has long been living quietly inside you. The essential question then is not whether you are worthy of this change, but whether you can recognize that it has already begun. Like a tree strengthened after surviving a lightning strike, the psyche develops a new resilience. This is not the brittle hardness that resists all pressure, but the supple strength that bends without breaking, that weaves challenge into its very grain. One learns to metabolize difficulty in a way that turns poison into medicine, disorder into discernment. The first sign reveals itself in your relationship to solitude. Where once aloneness felt like a sentence, it has now become a sanctuary. I have written at length about the abandonment complex, that deep psychological wound that drives us to scatter our energy in desperate quests for approval and connection. When this complex no longer directs your choices, something fundamental has shifted. Your energy stops dispersing itself in seeking validation from outside. A particular stillness begins to emanate from those who have moved through the soul's most demanding trial. It is not the stillness of withdrawal or despair, but the quiet that arises from no longer needing to convince anyone of your worth, not even yourself. You find you can be genuinely alone without the restless urge to fill the space with noise, busyness, or other people's energy. This solitude becomes creative rather than corrosive. In these quiet intervals, you discover your clearest insights arise not from interaction with others, but from communion with the deeper strata of yourself that reveal themselves only when the outer world grows silent. I identify this capacity for meaningful solitude as a hallmark of the individuated personality. You begin to notice how others flee themselves through constant socializing, endless stimulation, or relationships that distract rather than connect. There is no judgment in this seeing, only a gentle recognition of patterns you once followed. The paradox becomes unmistakable. The more at home you are in your own company, the more magnetic you become to those longing for something real. Your nervous system has recalibrated. Where once the unknown triggered automatic fear, you now approach mystery with what I have called active imagination. You develop an appetite for liminal spaces where transformation lives, those thresholds where one version of you dissolves and another is born. The second sign manifests in your relationship with your own shadow. Much of my life's work has explored shadow integration, the process by which we stop exiling the darker aspects of our personality and begin to work with them consciously. This integration unfolds within you in ways that would have been impossible before your ordeal. You develop a ruthless honesty about your capacity for manipulation, your hunger for control, your ability to wound when threatened. Rather than frightening you, this self-knowledge becomes strength. You recognize these impulses not as defects to be erased, but as primal energies to be understood and directed. Your anger is transmuted from something that once exploded outward or smoldered in suppression into what might be called a sacred fire. It burns now only what must be released in your life. Relationships that no longer nourish growth, patterns that keep you small, agreements you made when you knew less about your own worth. This anger serves your evolution instead of sabotaging it. An energetic integrity can be felt in you. Even in silence, people sense your authenticity because you have reconciled your contradictions. You no longer try to erase paradox within yourself. You learn to hold it consciously, allowing it to create the dynamic tension I identified as essential for psychological development. The way you process intense emotion has changed at the root. Where overwhelming feelings once destabilized you for days or weeks, you now possess a vessel strong enough to hold the full range of human experience. Your emotional spectrum is wider, but your relationship to feeling becomes one of conscious partnership rather than unconscious possession. The third sign appears as an immunity to projection. Projection is the unconscious habit of depositing unprocessed psychological material onto others. You cultivate an almost clinical capacity to observe when someone is making you responsible for emotions, reactions, or insights that are theirs. This recognition arises without anger or superiority. It is simply data about how the psyche behaves in the absence of self-awareness. Drama that once captured you like gravity now feels alien to your system. You witness triangulations, manipulations, and emotional games with the detached interest of a researcher studying natural patterns. Your compassion matures from the codependent kind that sacrifices itself to rescue, into a seasoned compassion that offers presence without losing itself in another's pain. This relates to what I termed the transcendent function, the capacity to rise above polarized conflicts and perceive larger patterns. This function activates in you when others bring their crises. You no longer feel the automatic anxiety that once made their emergencies your emergencies. Instead, a serene clarity about the limits of your responsibility emerges, along with the wisdom of allowing others to meet their own challenges. You naturally step back from situations where your energy is being used to stabilize someone else's emotional climate. This stepping back is not cruelty but clarity, knowing the difference between supporting growth and enabling the avoidance of necessary lessons. Some may misread your boundaries as coldness. You recognize them as the safeguarding of something sacred within. Your relationship with time itself undergoes reorientation. Time no longer appears as a scarce commodity to hoard or an adversary to conquer, but as a dimension to inhabit fully. The fourth sign unfolds in your intuitive faculty, which blossoms into a fully engaged function. Where once you leaned primarily on analysis, you now consult an inner knowing that touches information beyond the reach of reason. This is among the most profound changes. Synchronicities move through your life with growing frequency, creating the felt sense that events align by an intelligence far greater than your conscious plans. You learn to discern the urgent demands of the wounded ego from the quiet guidance of the self, the archetype of wholeness that emerges as individuation deepens. Your capacity to read the invisible layers of people and situations expands dramatically. You perceive motivations, patterns, and trajectories hidden to others, not from cynicism, but from refined sensitivity to the energetic information beneath appearances. Decisions no longer require exhaustive lists of pros and cons. Instead, you access an inner counsel and ancestral wisdom that draws on knowledge accumulated not only through your biography, but through the collective unconscious. A quality of listening awakens that goes beyond hearing words. You attune to the spaces between sentences, the feelings beneath explanations, the soul speaking through the persona. This listening is not analysis but reception, not judgment, but witnessing of the full complexity of being human. The fifth sign shows in your embrace of the natural cycles of psychological growth. You integrate the archetype of death and rebirth so completely that you no longer fear the seasons when life seems to dissolve. These apparent endings become familiar preludes to renewal. Your stance toward uncertainty shifts from avoidance to active engagement. Where once you needed guaranteed outcomes, you now recognize that the richest growth unfolds in the space between decision and result, in the willingness to act from inner alignment. An energetic economy begins to operate within you, guarding your vital resources. Your life force no longer leaks across dozens of draining obligations. Instead, you invest it carefully, like a wise gardener. You understand that growth travels in spirals, not straight lines, revisiting themes at deeper turns. This brings profound patience with your own process. Your creativity turns from external proof to internal expression. You create not to validate your worth, but because creation has become communion with the life force moving through you. The sixth sign emerges in your relationship with external validation. My contemporary Alfred Adler and I wrote about the inferiority complex, those wounds that compel constant comparison and performance. This complex dissolves so thoroughly within you that the urge to measure yourself by outer standards feels foreign. You develop what I call inner authority, a psychological structure that affirms your experience without requiring social consensus. Your self-worth no longer rises and falls with shifting opinions. Praise and criticism register with similar neutrality, processed as information, not verdicts. This frees vast energy once spent curating an image. Your authenticity becomes non-negotiable. You choose rejection for your truth over acceptance for a performance. Even your way of inhabiting the body changes. A groundedness appears, genuine self-possession. You move through space as one who belongs to themselves first. The seventh sign presents as a refined discernment in how you invest your energy. The individuation process culminates in what may be called energetic sovereignty, the ability to protect your essence without aggression, simply through conscious choice. Your presence grows more selective and therefore more precious. You no longer distribute yourself indiscriminately. This is not elitism, but wisdom about the sacredness of your life force. A natural authority radiates from you now, not power over others, but power over yourself, the hallmark of psychological maturity. The guilt that once shadowed your limits dissolves. You safeguard your energy as you would any precious resource. You learn to recognize people, projects, and bonds that drain your vitality without offering true reciprocity. Even your relationship with suffering is transformed. Where once pain was something to dodge, it becomes a teacher whose lessons you receive with gratitude. This does not mean you seek suffering, only that you extract wisdom from what cannot be avoided. A quiet stillness now accompanies you, not an absence of motion, but a depth of centered presence. This stillness draws those searching for something they cannot name. You become a living instance of the individuated soul. Your relationship with hope matures from wishful thinking into an active trust in the life process itself. You no longer hope for specific outcomes. You trust your capacity to meet whatever arises. This second psychological birth marks more than recovery. It signals a fundamental reordering of consciousness. You become psychologically independent of early programming. A sense of completion emerges that owes nothing to outer accomplishments and everything to inner reconciliation. You no longer need to recover from your past because you have learned to create from the present. The person you thought you should become proves a limitation beside the singular being you already are. Your path continues, yet a crucial passage is complete. You have moved through the soul's most demanding examination, emerging not unscathed, but integrated, not unchanged, but more essentially yourself. The test unveiled your true nature. The secret I spent a lifetime learning becomes your lived fact. The soul does not grow in spite of suffering, but through a conscious, transformative relationship with it. Your pain becomes your teacher. Your wounds become your wisdom. You carry the quiet dignity of one who has met themselves entirely and found not perfection, but wholeness. If you recognize yourself in these signs, know that you have crossed an initiation most will never understand. Your transformation serves not only your own evolution, it becomes a template of possibility for others, and your journey of conscious becoming has only just begun. If this spoke to you, take a slow breath, share one sign you recognize in yourself in the comments, and subscribe for more films on individuation and inner authority. Your reflection might be the mirror someone else needs today.